It's doing something. It says, oh, crap, Jamie, music, please. Welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm here with Uplifting Conversations. And I'm just so excited to have my guests with me today. They're my co-hosts. They don't know it, but they're my co-hosts. They're not a panel, they're my co-hosts. Because together we're creating I trust and believe that we're creating something magical. And I'm just gonna go, Sherry, who, where, what's going on with you? How are you here besides me begging and pleading?
Well, it started in 1974 with my mother. She decided to give birth to now. I know, dumb joke. Okay, so how did I get here? You invited me, and I'm really excited. And my name is Sherry, and I am, if we're talking professional, I'm a self-love coach. I'm a motivational speaker and an author, and I'm genuinely honored to be here with you, with all of you guys. And I just look forward to the next hour to see what kind of magic will happen.
Thank you. Laura!
What up? Hi. I am Laura Jack, and I met Neil at a retreat. And that is how I think I'm here, is that we had some really great conversations, and they were most likely uplifting. So I'm a compassion coach, I'm a speaker, and I'm an author of a book called The Compassion Code. And so I love inspiring people to be kinder and more compassionate, which is always an uplifting conversation.
Sweet, thank you. Yeah. Morgana.
Hello. Well, you asked and I said yes. I have been a coach since 1996. I'm a best-selling author. I have been a pioneer in the area of money and relationships, specifically turning your relationship with money into a love-first relationship. So that's kind of my thing, love first in all areas of life.
Sweet. Hey, my brother, Jamie.
Well, hello and welcome, everyone. My name, of course, is Jamie Adamchuk. I am the owner of UE Coaching. I absolutely love to work with businesses and help them close those gaps to get to be where they really want to be. Neil, of course, we've known each other for countless amounts of years. Being on with you and being on with these incredible, amazing ladies, my gosh, it is totally, completely, 1000% my privilege to be here with you all. Thank you so much for having me on.
Before I continue, I want to thank you all for choosing. You could have chosen thousands of other things to do, Netflix, Disney Channel, whatever you could have chosen to do. But thank you for being here. And it looks like Morgana's got a very, I think she's frozen.
Or she's just very curious.
Yes, inquiring mind. Okay, so she's gone out, so she'll come back in. So my name is Neil Thrussell. I'm the owner of BestUCanB. I'm a 4 times international best-selling author of A Warrior's Heart spiritual fiction. And I and Jamie co-created this crazy concept and idea. And we're about uplifting conversations. We're about empowering people to live the purpose of, well, that's me. I'm about purpose and passion. Jamie's a little more on the business end. But I believe, together as a collective in this crazy time, we need to focus on what's good and what's right here and right now. And what's good is that I have 4 wonderful people willing to spend an hour with you. What's good and right with you right now, Jamie?
I'll tell you what right now, and through these weeks, through these last 2-3 weeks, man, we have seen an influx of people who are really finding the opportunity in these moments. It is amazing. Where we're hearing the news, of course, and the news is all that good doom and gloom stuff. Hey, what's the motto of the news? If it bleeds, it leads. But here's the thing. I'm finding these business owners who are finding those opportunities to give back, to change the structure of their business, to come up with some new ideas and really try some new things out that they might not have had it been, not for this pandemic. So I see it as a blessing.
Absolutely. As we've done this show, I don't know, this is the third one, that I believe that this is happening for us, not to us. It's a little twisted, but it's happening for us and not to us. Anybody else want? What's your thoughts? Before I pick on anyone, anyone want to go? What's your thoughts on this around it?
Sure.
I was like, I'll let Sherry go. I'm like, I have lots to say always. So
I'm all over the place, so I got lots to say everywhere. But first, I want to agree with Jamie first, and just talking about the businesses that are showing up. I think that's been one of the highlights, is just seeing, first of all, big companies really stepping up and taking care of one another, and then people pivoting in their businesses and just finding the good, finding the opportunity in this. I gotta say, for myself, if you're asking me about good and right, back a few months ago, I left my own startup. And for those of you who are thinking, your own startup, like that's weird. I had a business partner, so it's still going, but I had my real passion wasn't coming through, and I knew that there was more for me. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to, well, I did know what I wanted to do, but I didn't have the opportunity just yet. Long story short, since this pandemic has started, I've started, and this is the reason why there's an owl here, I started what's called Story Time with Sherry. And I literally have brought all of my passions together, of speaking, of inspiring, of reading, of entertaining. And it's like, in the midst of all of this, I feel like I'm finally thriving again. And sometimes I hate saying that, because there's so, and let me take that back. I don't hate saying that, but there can be some guilt around it while a lot of people are suffering. And what I want to point out is that we can create and make the most of this opportunity right now, in any way that we choose to. And so for me, that is what's good and right, is that I found the joy again. And I have no idea what's going to take off from this, but all I know is that in this moment, it feels great.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll share. So, I've been working in grief and loss for a long time. And one of the great treasures of the experience that we're all going through is understanding grief as a collective. And I think that there's been a lot of grief that's been unresolved for a very long time, maybe even millennia, that is surfacing for a lot of people. And I know some people would be like, why is that good? And for me, the answer to why that's good is because when we can actually let things come to the surface and clear them out, rather than just stuffing them down and avoiding them for the next millennia, we can actually heal and grow. And for me, as a grief specialist and as a compassion coach, being able to take, what seems like suffering, and which is, to acknowledge all of the hardship that is happening, but to recognize the exponential growth and opportunity for growth in those moments of suffering is why I love this moment. Because even though it hurts and it's hard, it's an opportunity for us to step into the next iteration of ourselves, redefine and reprioritize our values, what matters most to us, and really gain clarity on, what do I want to be and do and have in my life, and then having no excuse to not do it. Right. So that is what's good and right with me, is that I am on purpose and on fire in my work. And finally, the world is understanding that we are all grieving, and we are all grievers, and we can grow through our suffering. So that's drop the mic.
Well, Anna, we're talking about that. I believe that this isn't happening to us. It's happening for us, and how we're dealing with it. Like, it is a horrific thing. People are dying. People are losing fortunes. But there is the nugget, the good in all of this. What do you see as the good in the nugget, and what is your?
I'm so glad that we're talking about this. And, to Laura, it just sounds like a soul sister. I lost my father last year. So I thought last year was all about death. And now it's bigger. And what I'm known for, kind of my little niche, my shtick, is this relationship with money, as if money is a person. But we don't start with the happy, great relationship with money. If we did, nobody would come to me. So it's actually the shadow, the dark side, the monster is just as valuable. It's part of the human condition. Every leader, including the Buddha, wanted to check out at some point. This is part of the human experience. And it has value because that's kind of where the magic happens. The problem always has the seed of its solution in there. It also, the experience is what humanizes us so that we can care about and step up for other people, relate to the experiences of other people. So, you know, indestruction is always great possibility. And I'm really, really grateful that while we're having uplifting conversations, we are not minimizing or bypassing what is really going on, and that we can care and not check out or numb out or just like, you know, pretend it's not happening, but actually, yes, it's happening for us and through us for some alchemical transformation.
Right. Yeah. And is it okay, Neil, if I say something, one more thing before you go on to the next topic?
Yes.
I'm like, I don't want you to move on yet. I just, you know, I think what I love so much, Morgana, is that you said we're not going to minimize the experience, because I think we so often want to dive into gratitude, and gratitude without grieving is usually just like a box that we're checking. And so really allowing ourselves to have the feelings of like, God, this sucks, or this is hard, or, you know, really, really validating all of our experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of them. And then just saying like, and now we can celebrate the gifts from the challenges, right? So I really love that you acknowledged and not minimized that this is hard. It's not easy.
I want to take your metaphor and up you one. So years ago, I was moving and my cat freaked out because cats don't like to move, and he bit me. And I put a Band-Aid on it, which is a really wrong thing to do, because what happened is the bacteria from the cat's tooth started to travel up my arm in a black line. And if it had gotten as far as my heart, I would have died. So what we need to do when this pain is going on is not put a Band-Aid on it with gratitude or affirmations and pretend it isn't there. We actually, it's like we want to suck it out. We want to take that poison and turn it into medicine. And you can't do that without really letting it work its magic. And yeah, we don't want to stay there forever. But it's sort of the price of admission, especially for people who are healers and doing great work. And the great news is that you get to use it forever, over and over and over again. No matter how many times you heal, if you can like milk anything else out of it, do it, because there's always more treasure to be had.
Sweet.
Morgana, I love what you're sharing there, that treasure. Right, to really seek into that treasure and to find it, because there is good. If we look for it, if we tune into what the good is, respect the moment, respect what's happened, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to go to that place, but to really find the treasure in it, it literally changes our minds. It changes the mindset, it changes what we're looking for, it changes everything. So to hear you say, find that treasure through and past the grief, that's a real gift in itself.
I don't think we would grieve without love.
Yeah.
You know, this is just what love feels like.
I don't even think that most of us even know that we called this forth, what is happening right now, because so many of us have asked for change and we've wanted change, and we're not content with the way that our lives have looked, and we've hoped for more. And suddenly this has shown up, and there's so many that are like, no, I don't want it anymore. I want normal back, but not realizing that we asked for this, we need this. And we often so hold on to what we think is a security blanket that's normally like tattered and torn and doesn't give us any sort of safety. And now we have this amazing opportunity to be able to see new, feel new, experience new. But it's so important, like you guys said, to be able to feel the grief, to understand it, to sit in it for a bit, and to love it, and then to move through it.
And we can love it without it being okay. Like, it's not okay that people are not getting the medical care they need. That's not okay. And it's kind of incumbent on us to take this opportunity to make things better.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, it's interesting when we talk about the word love, because I know for me personally, I can say I love something and love someone, but it's really not till I experience the dichotomy, the loss of that love. For me personally, do I really understand the depth of love? And the first girlfriend was, a terrible thing. I thought tragedy, I was going to jump, and it was terrible. And then the next one, and then the first pet, and then your first person that you're really close to that you lose. It's horrific. And it's only when we really lose something that we care about. And right now, this loss of personal freedoms, this loss of the sense of normalcy,
Safety.
yeah, is horrific for so many people. But I look at it as a way, it's also a way to understand of what we like. And for me, I encourage my coaching clients to find what it is that they're missing, and how to, when this is over, because it will be over, when it's over, how to bring this fully into your life. What are you missing? What do you want? And to bring this in completely, own it.
And for those of us who are empathic, like just feeling into the field of everybody else's grief and fear is a lot to process. And so, like, Sherry is going gangbusters and I'm going really slow because, it's just, sometimes it's overwhelming. And by the way, either response is an appropriate response.
Yeah.
That's so important that you said that, because in the beginning, I was not this way. Right when it happened, I got very quiet. And it was in that I was actually, I'm not going to lie, like agitated with people that were like, you have to grind and this is your time to change up your business and it's to do everything. And I'm like, no, we are in a collective grief and everybody's going to show up the way that they show up, and give people the opportunity to be able to feel into that and be okay with that. And so I did do that. And then it became, I got the download that was like, just read to people, Sherry. People want comfort right now and they want connection. And so it started with a simple reading of my book, and then it turned into all of that it is right now. And it's so important that you said that, because it's like been the tip of all my work, is that anything that we're going through and any way that we're experiencing it and any way that we choose to show up is okay.
Right. I think that's it, is the normalization of each person's experience is totally unique and totally valid. And yeah, it really helps us to validate other people, because I think, like you said, Sherry, it's easy to feel guilty about being good, like being okay, and even being awesome. And guilt, as we define it, is the intention to harm. So it's like, am I trying to hurt anybody by feeling good? And it's like, of course not. So then, like, we take that off and we ask, well, what's underneath that? Well, is it okay that I'm good? And my answer is, those of us who are feeling good and who are feeling alive and who are like thriving in this element of chaos, like, it's our ability to shine brightly even in times of darkness that allows other people to remember how to get home when they're ready. And so I think you have to keep shining, because otherwise we can't all drown in the depths of despair together. Like, somebody has to be able to throw the life preserver out there.
Absolutely. And it changes from moment to moment too. Because,
right.
Because there are those times that I'm going to need the support of somebody else. And then there's times that we'll be able to hold it up for somebody else, and that's
exactly.
what it is, all of us connecting and coming together and recognizing what we need, asking for that help, and then also being the support, like you said, the lifeline for others.
Yeah. I in one of my retreats that I hold called the Spiritual Warrior, I have a saying that it says, it only takes the light of one person to lead us from the darkness. And I personally choose to be that light.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I love that conscious choice, Neil, just recognizing that, because as I look at all five of us here doing what we do, I really see that light in each and every one of us. We're expressing that passion, that hope, that potential to be able to not just feel it ourselves, but to guide, to take it forward, to really make that impact for others. And that's maybe really what it's all about. For me, this helps me remember these moments, this time. It helps me to remember all the good that I really do have. Yes, there's a lot of misfortune and really terrible things happening in the world right now. And it also lets me reflect on, hey, this is my life. I'm actually doing pretty darn good. I'm loving it. I'm healthy. I'm safe. My family's healthy and safe. Everyone around me is healthy and safe. I really do have so much to be thankful for. This isn't just one of those gratitude exercises. It's not just that. I'm a big believer in gratitude. Don't get me wrong. But this is so much more than that. The actual realization and remembering how well things really are, and then sharing that light out.
The very fact of being alive has never felt so precious to me, and following up with Sherry and Lori, yeah, shine your light, because it's important to give permission to be happy as well as give permission to be having hard feelings too. And a friend of mine, a psychic who pulls tarot cards, which actually could be like true for almost all my friends and family and husband. But this particular one has been pulling a tarot card every day during the pandemic. What do we need to know? And she's been pulling the Wheel of Fortune a lot, which reminds me that things go down, but then they go up. And if your job right now is just to stay alive long enough for things to get better, then just stay alive long enough for things to get better, because they will, because they do.
Thank you. Yes. So somebody at somewhere has reached out to each one of us to help us along. What was that one simple act someone other than you have done that has done to help buoy your spirits, to help lift you up in a time that you weren't feeling 100%? You could have been at 98%, but something someone did for you.
My daughter just brought me coffee in the RV, and she's 5.
That's awesome.
But in reality, yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll finish real quick. But in reality, though, I think that my kids, who are 2 and 5 years old, have shown up really powerfully over this time. Which, my daughter even though she's 5 years old, has this amazing capacity to hold space. And I feel like, my husband was having a hard time the other day, because that happens in this time where we're just going in and out, as Sherry was mentioning. And my daughter was like, "Hey, Daddy, what's wrong?" And he's like, "I'm just having a hard time." And she's like, "Do you want a hug?" And I was just so proud of her, because she didn't try to fix it. She really, I feel like she embodied everything that I teach, and in like her little tiny self. And she just is like, "Do you want a hug?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she just held him, and she told him that she loved him. And I was just like, and she does that for all of us, and we do it for her too, obviously. But it's just even just having that, it just inspires me that just those few words of love and support without trying to fix it is so powerful.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Years ago, when I went on my first trip with my husband, came under time in a little over 5 years. Like, life right now is wonderful in our little bubble. But we were on a trip to Azerbaijan, of all things, our first trip. Other couples go to like Italy or Paris. We go to Azerbaijan. And I received an email from my father telling me that he was getting married. All of his bride's kids were invited. I was not. And he didn't remember me telling him when I was going to get back, which I did. This was before I knew he had Alzheimer's. And he is my only parent. And it just hit me so hard, like just whoosh, all of my deepest childhood wounds, all like smack in the face in that moment. And I wanted to jump off the balcony of our 26th floor room. And my husband was the one who emotionally pulled me back, because he had been rejected by his dad. many, many years before. And I never really got it until that moment that he understood exactly what I was feeling, because he had been on his own journey. And that was just so healing. And then later I found out, that it was the disease. It wasn't my father. But in that moment, I couldn't have known. So that was a moment where just the understanding of somebody else made it okay.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead. I have so many things. Well, my mom's all over the place. It's called caffeine. But I will say, so my fiance, him and I are completely different. I mean, I love people. He hates people. And we just have completely different outlooks on life and totally balance each other out. And he's not one that is really in touch so much with his emotions. He's very quiet about it. And about a week and a half ago, he came into the office while I was working, and he looked at me and he said, "I need a hug." And he never, ever says that. And in that moment, I realized, or it was confirmation rather, that we're all going to grow from this. We're all going to get through this. That somewhere, no matter when it is, that something will awaken in each of us. And it was such, for someone else, this small moment, but for him to recognize that he needed support was so huge. And so that for me was just, I don't know, confirmation that we're all exactly where we need to be, and we're all going to grow in the ways that we're going to grow.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear. For myself, I'm a very altruistic person. I've done the personality profiles and that, and I'm all about others. So mine comes in a little different format. But I was talking to one of my very, very good friends. I consider him my brother, and he was telling me a story yesterday morning. He lives in a medium-sized town in kind of southeastern Alberta. He was sharing about a local pet store. It wasn't one of these big brand name pet stores or anything like that. They were staying open. They're helping the pets. They're, deemed as essential services and all that. But what this store was doing was something really different, in the fact that he put together a table because he recognized, hey, there's people that don't have access to stuff. There's some people, they've lost their jobs. They've done these things. And there was stuff like toilet paper, like macaroni and cheese, little dinners and stuff. So people could both bring it in and share stuff there. And when people needed it, they could take that. And, when I heard that impact that they just did it on their own. They didn't have to be told to do it. It was nothing to do with marketing whatsoever. It wasn't one of those things where, hey, I'm going to go market my business out by doing this great thing and get all this recognition. He did it because it came from that heart. And just hearing that story, hearing the goodness in people, that lit me up. That set me on fire. And that's amazing to see that goodness out there and to see it spread. That's what does it for me.
Recently, I had a friend that I've known her for years, and she's never verbosely kind words. She's very gruff, but she's a trucker kind of woman. and yet she has a heart of gold. Well, I recognized that and wished her happy birthday. It was her 50th. And birthdays for her are a love-hate relationship. And for her 30th, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, no one could mention that it was her birthday. That's how. And then her 40th, she threw a party. Her 50th, I was unsure whether we were back to the 30th. And with this COVID going around, so I tentatively sent her an email and said, "Happy birthday." And so it was a great dialogue because she's also she doesn't like a lot of communication. Yes, no, or complete sentences. Would you like? Yes, no. If you put sentence together, there are more than 10 words. She has no time for you. None. So I'm like, okay, happy birthday. Dun, dun, dun. And I didn't see your name. I hope it. Well, that's too many words. Happy birthday. And then so she accepted it. And then about 10 minutes later, she sends me this missive I've never seen her use this many words in an entire year.
Mm.
And it just made me feel, I was very emotional because one, that she cared enough to respond, but she recognized that all through the last 20 years, it was me that was carrying the friendship.
Mm.
And I was the one to always to make sure. And she just wanted to honor and say thank you. So I was like,
I think people are understanding during this time what really matters. I mean, you know, we all know how distracted we've been, how disconnected that we've been, whether, you know, it's technology wise or just going. We've all avoid and distract from our centers, from ourselves, most often because it hurts too much, because we've had pain, we've had trauma, we've had all of that. And so it seems easier to do everything else. And what this has done for all of us, it's had us slow down, and it's had us come face to face with ourselves and, again, what's important. And so seeing my fiance doing the hug, or Neil, her opening up and everything, I mean, this is what people are uncovering. They're uncovering themselves. And as hard as this is going to be the most transformative time of our lives, and never in history has the entire world been called to a pause. And so I only hope, and my prayer is that people come through this and don't want to go back to what they had, and only want to move forward.
One of my hopes,
I had this.
one of my hopes and beliefs is that all those people that are passionate huggers make it through this. Because my wife, like, I came from a family that's not big on hugging. My wife, she would hug the mailman if you would let her. You know, it's like, so everything and everyone she hugs. This is truly tormenting her soul. It's good for me.
I had this vision in I had this vision in November. Sorry, it breaks up a little bit, so it's always hard to know like what's actually complete. So just bearing with the technology. And there goes Sherry. So in November, I had this like vision where I was like, what is it going to take to bring us together as humanity? And the thought that popped in my head was an alien invasion is the only thing that's going to remind us that we're all human. Is like if an alien came and invaded our world, is the only thing that would bring us together, because it reminds us that we're all human and we're all mortal, right? And I feel like because it's not war, but it's causing crisis. It's not tsunami. It's not hurricanes. It's not earthquakes. It's like something that's impacting our entire world, causing us to pause, as Sherry was talking about. And in many ways, like I think of this little tiny virus, you know, that has like the crown on it as the alien that came, that is helping us come together and build bridges instead of walls, and remind us that we are all human, and no one is immune to being a human. Like anybody can get coronavirus. It doesn't matter how much money you have, or how famous you are, or how poor you are, anything. It doesn't matter, anything. We are all human. We're all in it together. Grief does not avoid anyone, nor does the coronavirus. It doesn't care who you are. And so at the other end of this, I don't want to go back to normal. I want to create a new normal that is encompassing of that belief of compassion and connection. And like we talked about, you don't know what you've lost. You don't know what you love until you've lost it. Like, I think what we realize is that we love connecting as humans. And so what we've lost is the ability to physically connect. And it's a huge part of our humanity is connecting physically. And it's a huge part of our happiness. And that's why this has been such a big struggle for so many, is the physical connection piece. And so I really see this alien invasion as an opportunity for us to create a new normal that serves a peaceful humanity moving forward.
There are some changes that I love. I live in Los Angeles, and the air has never been so clean. Mm-hmm. And I read that China, because of diseases like this, has called off consuming dog meat as food. Mm-hmm. And all these companies that said, no, we can't possibly cyber commute. You have to sit in the car and drive and park and be in these buildings with the lights and all that stuff. Suddenly have discovered within a week that they can do everything they need to do remotely. And it would be so nice if we got to keep those three things on the other side.
Whose friend is Drew? What an incredible! I'm loving Drew. I love Drew. Drew, you're loved.
I discovered him. He comes to story time with Sherry every day. And so
everybody needs somebody like Drew in their feeds. Thank you, Drew.
Drew, you're crushing it. You're crushing it. Yes.
He brings the joy. He's part of the owl. He makes up owl sounds during my lives and stuff. It's very funny. So thanks, Drew.
Yeah. So there's horrific things. There's beautiful things. Like I belong to a men's group, and one of the men actually said, dating online right now is an entirely different and intriguing endeavor, because you actually have to talk. And he says, if you ask for sex in the first 30 seconds like you can on other ones, he says all you get is a blank screen, and there's going to be no action anyways because you can't connect. So he said for him, he's actually having to learn to truly communicate in a heartfelt way, because eventually you run out of I do this, that, and that, and it forces you to go into questions about what do you like and what do you love.
Oh, that is so good for men. That is so good for men.
Yeah.
I never actually thought of that, but it makes so much sense, because you can't go and just meet up with somebody and then realize you don't have a connection. You actually have to build one first.
Yeah.
So interesting. And
he says one of the things he's learned to plagiarize, but the one woman is smarter than him, because he didn't know that you could actually go through a plagiarizer and check your online work. So he got this poetry, and she just took it and then sent it to some plagiarism site and said, did you know that this one this wrote it? And he's just like,
like using Rumi or something.
The gig's up, buddy.
That is a great thing to slow down relationship, because once you meet in person, there's whoosh, all those hormones, like your brain cells have left the planet anyway, and you're not going to make good choices. Right. So you want to set up something before the hormones take the reins.
It's so great in all areas, because I'll be completely transparent. Like, on my Facebook page or in my social media, and you get a lot of commentary, and you try your best to be able to comment back and talk back to people. But I am guilty of the not full connection on days of just like hearting and liking and all of that stuff. And I gotta tell you, now I'm building relationships with my community, and now I'm seeing people, and they're not just thumbnails, and it's not just the mindless scrolling past. And it's a beautiful thing. And I don't think that there's any coincidence that that's part of feeling more joy right now in my life, is that human connection. It is not lost on me.
I think that's why there's like this misnomer of social distancing. It's actually just physical distancing. We're not disconnected. We're connecting just in a totally different way. It's a physical distancing that's happening.
Absolutely.
My husband and I in recent years have become West Coast swing nuts. Devin enrolled us in partner dancing because it prevents and reverses Alzheimer's, and that's what my father had. And then we were like taking 6 or 8 or 10 classes a week because we really like it. Yeah, that was the hardest thing to give up.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the principles I love, now that I'm a Westie, I see everything, as dance. And in West Coast Swing, as the follower, when I get the pull, my job is to go backwards before I go forwards. And that's what I feel like this is instead of like jumping into action, I've been going backwards to see, what do I want to keep? Like in my business, and I've had it for almost 30 years, but what feels old? What do I want to let go of? Where do I want to go now? And so I've actually just, right now, I'm not even trying to sell or make big offers. I started a radio show with my husband called Crazy Sexy Midlife Love, where people call in. And I have my Rich Witch Wednesday, where people again can just ask questions. And so I'm really listening a lot to like where is the need and the desire? Who are my people? And kind of, following, going backwards before going forwards.
I like that. It sounds like Sherry did that too. I mean, she went backwards and then like it was like a bullet. It sounds like she got propelled herself
Totally
backwards.
And you know what's coming out, I think, for so many is creativity, like, which is like part of our childhood, and just that inner, like, no limitations, like, what can I do? Because there's no pressure. I know for myself, like, pressure in marketing and pressuring to show up, and you got to do this in your business and say that and there and here. It was just like, I just want to show up, and so all of this fun and what's sounding like you and Morgana, the creativity and starting the radio show and the story time and the dancing, and I made, and I'm going to say, yes, my fiance and I do like an online salsa lesson, and we got into an argument over it. And so we didn't do it again. But I mean, just the idea or the willingness to do it. I mean, it's just,
that's when you need a private teacher. When you start fighting, then you need like a third party to save your relationship.
Totally. I was being bossy. He was being insecure. It was just not a good match.
Right.
When it comes to dancing, I just know that I'm in the wrong. It's just an accepted fact. I have 2 left feet.
Just to be honest, most men are always in the wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I joke.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Drew to pipe in on that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, all these comments.
I love the creativity piece though, because I've seen it in my husband, just like his home projects. He started growing wheatgrass and he put the tent up in our backyard, and we've just been having like little parties in the backyard, and we got a trampoline for the kids. And like for me, I've been meaning to make videos for a long time because I love videos, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do one 5-minute video every day, because I have a lot to say about grief and loss and compassion, and that's like what's exactly happening. So people have been, messaging me, asking me to make videos about this, that, and the other. And so kind of like you were saying about listening, like I've been listening. What is it that people want from me? And I've been making these little videos and having so much fun making them. And I'm just like, I feel so alive, because I also took the pressure off of like, what channel should I put it on? I was like, I'll just make them on my phone, and my husband will put them on YouTube, and that'll be that. Instead of like worrying, oh, should I be on Instagram or should I do Facebook or like, whatever. I just like let it go. And I'm just doing them on my phone and being like, if Jimmy Fallon can do the Tonight Show from his living room with his kids, then I can do like little videos from my RV.
And this is so your moment. I mean, oh my God, we need you, and you've been preparing for this. This is your time.
And Gary Vee, most of us know Gary Vee. All he cares about is content. And it doesn't have to be professionally done. Just get your content, because it's usually the message that you're trying to imply or convey is the important piece. And the rest is just window dressing.
For so long, there's been so much noise online, and it's like one marketing thing after another, and how I can sell you and all this. And I got to say, there is still just as much online, but there's so much more meaningful stuff now that now it jumps out at me. Now I'm drawn in. Now I want to work with you. Now it's so powerful what's happening right now for all of us. It's beautiful.
I'm hearing a lot of pressure, like you have to act now. I actually think that this is not going to be over in a month. It takes a long time to develop a vaccine, even under the best of circumstances. So trust yourself. There is time. And by the way, when we come out of it, it's going to be a new time. So
Totally.
you're not missing.
Only
You're
out
not
is
missing
like
the train.
going to be slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like, even when it's over, which doesn't really, who knows what that even means, but like when we are safe to go back outside, right? Like we'll say that. It's going to be a slow reintegration process because there's still going to be a lot of people who are hesitant, right? And there's going to be a lot of things like for me, I'm like, I don't want my daughter to go back to school. I love having her home and I'm going to miss her. Like I've been loving this time. So I get like 7 extra hours a day with my kids that I used to not get, and it's awesome. And even though I have a nanny, which I am the luckiest person in the whole wide world, but like I'm so happy. I'm like so happy that I get this time with them. It's so precious. And so part of me is like, I don't want it to be over yet because I'm not ready to reintegrate into the world.
I just said that to my fiance. I said, again, with the guilt or whatever, I'm Jewish. It's just a lot of that around me. But, but I said to him, I said, like when they talk about reopening and going back out, I was like, I'm liking this right now. Not, of course, not, we all know, not the deaths and not the sickness, but what this is doing. I was like, it's just that you understand what I'm saying. I didn't want it to be over. I mean, in that sense. And that's what I think is going to come from this. We're all going to have to discover these aspects of ourselves and our lives and what's important and what we want to hold on to and what no longer we want to hold on to.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird. Like I watch old movies and TV shows and I'm physically uncomfortable to see people touching and standing so close to each other. And I think it's going to take a while.
I know.
to shift our behavior. Like we're wiring our neurology to stand back, man, and that doesn't change overnight.
Oh yeah. And how many times we touch our faces? Like, like I realize how much I touch my face now. Like we all do, but like, geez, like you never realize that you touch your face like 80 times an hour or whatever it is. It's like
a minute.
Oh my gosh.
One of the things that I want to look forward
a minute.
is actually being able to come up to somebody, hug them, shake their hand, or hold their hand. Because I personally don't believe in society that like there's holding hands and then there's holding hands. And I think we as a society need more touch. If we were touching and holding people's hands, like I also believe that as a society, we need to get beyond the fact that a kiss is only a sexual thing. I believe that a kiss could be, in the right circumstances, exchanged between close friends, but yet like the French or other ones. But it's so stigmatized, and now my fear is that that form of touch will actually get pushed back and pushed down. It's like, stay away.
I think at first, maybe my feeling is at first everyone's going to have that fear of the touching and all that, and then I just think that our own natural instincts are going to come out, and it's going to be hard to not like laugh and touch someone, and then I don't know, John. I'm going to stop calling him my fiance because it sounds like I'm my fiance. But John, so stupid.
Well, I don't have one of those.
OCD, and maybe diagnosed. He's never been diagnosed. I've diagnosed him, but like with cleanliness and everything. And so we live in the fact that every time we walk in the house, we're washing our hands, even before all of this. So he is thrilled. He's like, the rest of the world has finally caught up, and he like wants to go on to the next aspect where we all need hazmat suits. And I'm like, no, hon, it's not going to get to that.
They're only $20 on Amazon.
I know. He's already shown me them and put them in our cart.
Well, and in response to you, Neil, I might disagree a little bit, because even when this is over, we still have flu, we still have more SARS to come. I think that one of the positive outcomes is I think we will have more conscious, better hygiene. And maybe asking to touch is not such a bad thing either.
Yes. I'm looking at the time, and I'm looking at I know Jamie's got another call. He's headed to be with our friend Mick from Australia. So Jamie, what is the best way for people to get a hold of you?
the best way to get a hold of me, I'm going to share that in a second, but really the opportunity here is look at us. Look at the five of us being able to come together. This is a gift, right? All of us here together doing this together. Let's face it, if we were in our other lives, the lives pre-pandemic, this most likely wouldn't have happened. So, I mean, total gratitude for being able to do this with you guys. Best way to get a hold of me, of course, my name is Jamie Adamchuk, just like you see on the screen there. You can check me out on my website at www.uecoaching.com. You can email me info@uecoaching.com. And my phone number, I've got an 800 number, so it's nice and easy to reach out. It's 1-866-98-COACH. I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, so thank you, my friend. I'm going to kick you out of the call.
Bye, Jamie.
Big love, everybody.
Thanks, Jamie.
So, and anyone have any, before we really wind up, anyone have any last minute thoughts that they want to share?
Missed what you said. Sorry.
Anybody have any last minute thoughts or shares that they've just been sitting on that they want to share? They want to get out off their chest, or is just burning?
I'll just say this really quickly. Be gentle with yourself, be compassionate with yourself, be kind with yourself through this. No matter what it is that you're going through, you're going to be okay. And the last thing, because I always share this with anything that I do, is I teach self-hugs. And so I just want to share it with all of you, just to take your dominant hand, whichever one that is, you put it right under your armpit here. You take your other hand, place that right on your shoulder, head on your hand, and then you just squeeze the living love out of yourself. And I do this every day, at least twice a day, and I just wanted to share with you. You're doing such a great job. I love you. I'm so proud of you, any of that. So just wanted to share that.
Oh, so thank you. That was wonderful.
Sure. Sherry, that's so funny. I teach people how to hug themselves too.
The best feeling ever.
Yeah.
It is. It's so good.
Kara, she likes self hugs too.
Especially now at this time when we can't touch each other.
Yep. So,
For
Morgana,
sure.
what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Just add a .com to the end of my name. MorganaRay.com is the best way to reach me. And I want to piggyback on what Sherry said and say that your pace, your response, whether it's go out and conquer the world or just watch Netflix, is trust your own process. Whatever you're feeling, it's temporary. Trust your own process. And healing is going on. We're in different seasons. Some people are very active and it's spring and summer, and some people are in winter, which is very active below the surface. But you will see the shoots come back. So it's a really good time to more be kind to yourself, be healthy, and be gentle with yourself, but really just trust that you have your own wisdom and your own process. So I like to imagine being hugged by my money honey. I pretend to coach relationship with money, but money is really just a metaphor for relationship with life and self. Money is such an area of pain. I call this imaginary person money because that's the part of my life that needed the most love and healing. So I like to just imagine being held by this handsome man who smells really yummy and loves me and is warm. And then it just calms me down. I feel safe. And that's when the really good ideas and visions come out, because when you relax, that's when the genius part, the frontal lobe, wakes up, and you can take a look at a world in chaos and feel okay and feel your part and what you want to create. So MorganaRay.com, lots of free and easy resources there.
Thank you. One of you said you needed to be off pretty quick here. Or am I making it up? Okay.
No, you're right.
So how's the best way to get a hold of you, Laura?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. LauraJack.com. Similar. Hi, I'm here. Can you guys hear me? Can
Yes,
you hear me?
yes, we can.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
great. It's laurajack.com is my website. And like Morgana said, lots of good resources there. I have a thing called the Compassion Code Starter Guide, and that just gives you some language around supporting other people in your life who are going through hardship. And I also have a new YouTube channel called Living the Compassion Code with Laura Jack. So that is another great resource for just getting support. You know, I talk a lot about, is this grief we're feeling, and how do we deal with it, and how do we normalize it, and how do we feel into it, and how do we move through it, and how do we support people with it? So anyway, just again, I think the ladies shared so much wisdom. I really just echo them in loving ourselves and letting ourselves move at our own pace during this time. And so, Neil, I just want to say thank you to you for having me and us, and just really love having uplifting conversations during this time. I think it's really powerful and important.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to our next opportunity to interact, because I just realized you said your son was 2 years old, and the last time I saw you, you were still carrying him.
Yep. It's true. That's
So
right.
it's been far too long. So with that, I know you have another call. So thank you for making the time, and love you lots, and take care.
Bye, Laura.
Bye, Laura.
Love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Sherry. Bye, Morgana. Bye, Neil.
Bye.
Yep. And
My God, Neil, you bring in like the most incredible people.
I was just thinking that.
I personally, as I said, I'm a stalker. I have hunted. So I chose you, and then in a way you chose me, because for whatever, I saw your brilliance, and it's simple as that. I saw your brilliance, and I said, Neil, I want some of that. Because it's really like, it's a selfish. I find it's a selfish thing in a good way. I want to share my knowledge, but I know that in all of the stuff I know, I don't know everything, and I can't make it be like, sometimes I'm a great speaker, but sometimes I'm a crappy speaker. So I'm going, how do I make it better? And but I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the most inquisitive one in the room, and just ask the right questions. And
which is smart. Being inquisitive is smart.
Yeah.
It's a wise choice.
And that's why, like, I don't know, like, yeah, the show is my idea, but it's a collaboration. And that's why I don't know what to call anybody, a panel, a co-host. It's everybody's show. Because, yeah, I just started and I just ended, and I push some buttons, but it is your collective wisdom and yours being all of the panel, past and present, that make these conversations so empowering and so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I look forward to when we do physically get an opportunity to hug again. Well, Sherry for again, and for Morgana for the first time. And with that, yeah. So I'm Neil Thrussell. I own a company called BestUCanB, and it's about helping people find their purpose, their passion, their reason to get out of bed in the morning. There's more to life than just a bunch of actions and a predetermined. It's about living your life to the fullest and living a life of choice. And it's about finding your who and why. And with that, I want to thank you for being on this broadcast. And since you're already on my page, you already know how to get a hold of me. So take care. I love you all.
Thank you. SherryElise.com. I didn't get a chance to say it. That's okay. It's all right. It's easy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.